Hello and welcome to Twin Creeks Farms. I'm here today in our old milk house that my grandparents used to use when they ran the dairy here. I'm going to show you today how we milk our 4 holsteins that we use to feed bottle calves. We still use the old system that my grandparents used, and they use the surge milkers that hang underneath the cows. So we're going to walk you through milking one of our cows and how we do that. If you enjoyed this content and you want to stay up to date with our latest updates, please like and subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram at Twin Creeks Farm 2020. There's a few different styles of dairies. Some dairy farms will use robotic milkers that the cows actually go to. Some have different types of parlors that the cows will walk through, but they're still milked by people, or a pipeline system where you're still bringing around a milker not quite like this to the cows, and all the milk is piped through a pipeline. Whereas this, we bring it around to the cow and it fills up with milk, and then each time after a cow is milked, then we have to dump the milk. So it hooks up to an air line that creates vacuum to work this pump, but we're doing it the old-fashioned way. That's what's here, that's what we're set up for, so that's how we do it. Just a little quick go over of this milker. There's this handle here that's convenient for carrying it around, but there's a leather strap that hangs off the cow with a piece of steel on it that hooks onto here. And there's a few different slots you can adjust so that it hangs on the cow the way you want it. But that'll hang underneath the cow while it's getting milked. And then on the back of this here, there's a little outlet here that a rubber hose hooks into. And there's a vacuum line above the cow that you'll see. So it plugs into that, and that's what runs this milker. This is what's called a pulsator, and so it's what actually pumps to get the vacuum on the different teats to get the draw. And when the vacuum is on, this whole lid, so this lid comes off, and that's how you pour the milk out. When the vacuum's on, there's a rubber gasket that the air seals in there. And then on this pulsator is a little knob here that you can either thread in or out. If you thread it out, then it lets more air through, so it pulsates quicker. And if you thread it in, then it's slower, so you're trying to regulate the speed for the cow. And then these are the 4 inflations. When you got the vacuum on, the air will start sucking through here. And as long as you got proper vacuum, you just right up to the teat and that'll suck right on there. And you just have to make sure that it's seated properly so that the teat doesn't get sort of folded over and pinched, so it's just nice in there comfortably for the cow. The cow will probably let you know if it's not happy, if it's on there wrong. And then the one hose is the milk, for the milk to go into the milker, and then the other hose is your air hose, so each one has its own. So that's kind of the quick breakdown of how all the different parts of that. And then here we've got our vacuum pump. It's a old Surge Alamo 200. The barn used to have a 75 in it, but the bottom of the pressure tank was rotted out, and we weren't getting, even once we got another tank on it, we weren't getting good vacuum, so it's set aside for now, and hopefully maybe this winter I'll have time to work on it to get it going again. But the different parts here, so this is an electric motor that runs the pump. This is the pump that's got it's a big drum with 4 vanes that come out of it, and they'll spin around, and basically what they're doing is they're pulling air out of the vacuum line. This is the pressure tank, and it's building vacuum here by sucking, and then this sends the air that it sucks out the barn. And this is just what's called an oil reclaimer, so it oils the pump, but it also tries to collect some so it's not blowing it out the pump. And then there's just a little pressure regulator in the back with a pressure gauge down there. So that's what kind of powers the vacuum pump. So there's no electricity or anything that goes to the pump. That all runs here. The only thing that goes to the the milker. The only thing that goes to the milker is the air vacuum. That's all it needs to run it. An important part of making milk is what the cows eat. The holstein cows eat quite a lot, and they need that to be able to produce the volume of milk that we need. Ours aren't actually producing the way even that you would see in a normal dairy. We're kind of in the low 20s, I'd say, liters per day, whereas you can be upwards of 40 even on some cows in a dairy. So so ours are getting this hay, which is it's fresh and it's good. It wasn't rained on, but there's not a lot of protein content value there. It's a fairly grassy hay from a fairly spent field, but we're working with what we have. Hopefully when we have some second cut in about a month or a little more, then we'll have a little better protein hay to be able to feed them as well. And then we've got this protein pellet here. It's like a right around 40% protein pellet with a bunch of mineral mixed in it. Mineral and vitamins and everything, just to keep the cows healthy and balanced. And then this is just like a 14%. It's actually a beef ration, but it's got lots of energy and it's 14% protein. So this is a really concentrated bit of supplements. There's also some minerals in here as well. And then we just feed them a little bit of salt on top of that. And I'm looking at maybe adding just a little bit of soy meal and just another protein to their ration as well, just to help with the milk production. But it takes a fair bit to be able to get the cows to produce high volumes of milk, and with all the vitamins and minerals in there, then it gets passed on to the calves, because that's how they're getting all their nutrition. So you need well-fed cows to be able to feed the calves properly. Courtney's just washing the cow's udder, all 4 teats, just to make sure it's nice and clean. And then we dip it with a type of iodine pre-dip solution, just to help clean up any bacteria on the udder. And then before we milk them, we'll dry any of that iodine, wipe it off to have it nice and clean for when we put the milker on. So you have this leather harness that then hangs over the cow, and it just loops in a little clasp. So you can see it hangs down there, and there's a little notch in it that the handle rests in. Plug in the rubber hose, the air line. Hang it on the hook, wipe off all of the teats, make sure that they're nice and dry. Then you strip out each of the quarters, just the first milk, just to help reduce bacteria. And then you just hear the air, with the proper vacuum, they'll suck right up on there. Stay there until you take it off, unless they can kick it off too, but that's pretty much how you put it on. And if you look at her udder, you see it's all retracted and wrinkly because it's all milked out. And you just put a little pressure on the side of the inflation and they'll just pop right off when the air gets in there. Take the hose out, grab it by the handle, and pull it all off. 22 quarts. So it's alright, that'll feed some calves. Easy. Then once the milker's off, we just strip out the last little bit of milk out of the teats. Again, it's just one, I guess you get the milk out of it, and it helps prevent mastitis. Just pulling that last little bit of milk out of there gets the bacteria out of there. So strip the 4/4, and then we just have another iodine post dip. And you get them, and it helps clean all the bacteria off around the teat, and then the milk will actually seal up in the teat there, and so that iodine just helps keep it clean while it's doing that.